Hey YouTube, I don't know if you caught that just now. I just had both my roosters. There's this big purebred Australorp, and there's this guy. He is probably, from what I can figure, he'll be 3/4 Australorp, maybe more, and there's a hint of color around his neck, and that is from something like a sex link, which actually I have somewhere in here. I have a hen from, it's a sex link or part sex link. One thing you'll notice, these two roosters are pretty much hanging out together. There is a dominant one, that's this guy with the color in his neck. There's a submissive breeding one, and somewhere around here I have a barred rock rooster, and he's just young. Major tricks with roosters, closer in age the better, it seems. They are going to scrap a little, they're good. These guys were hatched pretty well around the same time. I couldn't say for sure whether it was the same day or not. The biggest trick with chickens is to understand their mentality. So we've got the two roosters, and they do scrap a little, but the first thing I did when I brought them here, and they were both in the barn together, if I remember right, they were actually sleeping up on this shelf here, or the one was, and the other one I don't remember where he was. He may have been on one of these roosts. But basically, after the sun goes down, you sneak out, and you take a rooster, and you take the other rooster, and you put them one beside the other, and then put a hen on either side on a roost. And then very quietly sneak out of the barn and hope they stay there. And it's the funniest thing. They will wake up, and it's like you can hear them say it in their head. Wow, we slept next to each other. We must be friends. Or at least we're not enemies. And so that's kind of the biggest trick I find to having a couple of roosters that get along and live together. It's always been interesting. I mean, it doesn't always work. You get into some other breeds that are maybe a little bit more hyper, like an Americana or some of the Mediterranean leghorny types. They may fight a little bit more. But these Australorps, they tend to be a bit more of a docile bird. These guys are probably a year and a half old. They seem to be getting along all right. They do chase each other around, but a lot of that I think is just making sure everybody knows who the boss is and who the boss isn't. And most people don't believe me when I say that I have them getting along fine together. And they do. And I'm trying to think if there was something else. I do the same thing with hens when I bring hens in, because there is a pecking order, believe it or not. If you take your new hens and your old hens and you kind of, again, you take them on the roost and you put, you know, old hen, new hen, old hen, new hen, old hen, new hen. And you wait till, a lot of times with roosters and hens, I'll wait till nighttime before I even introduce the new stock. And I will do that on the roosts when they wake up. They think they're friends and they seem to get along. And then the nice part, if you look around my barn here, you won't see many hens that have been overbred. An overbred hen will have bald patches on her back, and you don't really see that because I have the two boys and they keep each other in line. So when one goes to breed, maybe makes the hen squawk a little too loud or something, the other rooster comes and rescues the hen. So as far as getting a good pure genetic, this isn't the way to do it. When it comes actual breeding season, I will separate them, which means I will have to reintroduce them, which I've had pretty good luck with over the years, especially with these heavier breeds. And so that should be all right. And like I say, it keeps having two roosters safe through the winter means I can put all my chickens in one pen. I don't have to have separate pens to keep warmed up and fed and watered. Everybody can be in the same pen. Everybody can get along, and nobody gets overbred because we have the roosters keeping each other in check. The other big rooster kind of rules, for the most part, tend to be young roosters with older hens, because the older hens will keep the young roosters under control. It'll keep the young roosters from overbreeding too much a lot of times. And then the other way to go is with an older rooster and younger hens. And the older rooster may not breed as much and overbreed, but when he does, it counts. And so those are kind of some tips for those kind of rules. I'm trying to think, there was one more thing I was going to mention. Oh, keeping young roosters and raising them up. If you are going to think of breeding with them or using them for breeding, I've noted some issues here and there. Lots of guys will take and put 2 roosters in a pen, say open cage like this, or I have some laying hens or laying cages I use up here on occasion for quarantine. When you do that and you put a couple of roosters together with no hens around, for whatever reason, they don't always, I mean, you can't guarantee afterwards that they're going to actually breed and do their job. I know a few times that guys will have raised up 5 or 6 roosters, think they're going to put them in with the hens and get some chicks, and what do you know? It doesn't work, and then everybody's all frustrated and upset. So, not sure how that works or why that works. There's my rock rooster. This guy actually got raised up in our house this winter. So anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. Questions, comments, concerns, let me know. We'll talk